Hi, I'm Mindy Stern.
I'm JD Cargill.
And I'm Michelle Arago, and this is Friendsome and Then Some.
We are three best friends who met over 2 decades ago working in LA's local news scene, and we started this podcast to listen, learn, and laugh. Oh, do we laugh? On our journey to improving the midlife experience through the incredible power of friendship.
And each week we rip back the curtain on midlife, candidly exposing the biggest issues facing middle-aged people, often by sharing the intimate details of our own lives and our friendship. Through expert guests and celebrity interviews, we offer friendship-based tips, tricks, hacks, and solutions to living your best midlife. We are Midlife AF
and Flossum AH.
So here we go. It's
Friendsome and Then Some. Gather the farm animals, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a fun day on the show today. Welcome to Friendsome and Then Some. Welcome, Michelle.
Say
Mindy.
farm animals, I go for it.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
It never gets old. I love all of your
I do.
This is my happiest day.
Your incredible...
I
life.
Someone just asked me the other day, like, who have I barked for? I have barked for Robin
question.
Williams, Jim Carrey, George Bush, John Boehner. I have barked for some of the craziest
That
people.
is a really cool question. And
Right?
that is something
Who
we
have you
could dig
barked
in because we probably have some of those assets somewhere.
Oh my God! I
Hey,
have barked for
everybody.
the best. Oprah.
Yeah.
I barked for Oprah.
I mean, that's the most famous bark.
Bark for me, bitch. That's a hell of a sentence.
It's one of the
my
most
husband.
special days at Friendsome and Then Some, right? Because this is one of our threesome friendsomes.
I like the threesome friends.
I like the threesome friendsomes where we just really have
We're
a
leaning into ourselves.
exactly a
guest,
deep
just
dive
us.
into our friendship and friendship in general.
Well, because I think we're really funny and interesting, and we have a lot to say. Whether anyone else thinks
At
so,
least
is
one
maybe.
person does.
But we can lean on our experiences basically we've been getting a lot of questions about
Yes.
we've
That's
been
right.
getting a lot of questions about friendship because our show is about midlife and friendship and the importance of friendship. So we sort of collected questions, right, JD, about those very things and how maybe in our own personal life, how we've dealt with it. We're not trying to put a crown on of an expert or a PhD.
None of us have the word doctor in front of
We
our
have
names.
a PhD. We have a PhD in friendship. If it were to
Though I have
exist.
played a doctor in the bedroom at times. Never on
Certainly
TV.
had a few enemas,
Never on
haven't you,
TV.
JD?
There you are. Wait, I'm so sorry. Did you just hear my button pop off my pants? All right, you know what? Let's just talk about this for a second. We have been
Midlife, midsection?
If you're listening right now and want to see something funny, go check out our YouTube page because that was the sound of my button popping out. Because here's the problem. This is the S curve of my current life. This is the front of the S, and this is the back of the S. So that button that you just heard pop off and hit the studio floor, that was not special effects, folks. That was a real thing.
You
that
know
was,
what? It's not even anywhere near because
my
the
God.
pressure.
Shut up, Michelle. Whatever.
Me right here.
Oh, I used to be the skinny one. I am no longer the skinny one. I am now officially the pandemic plus. This is my pandemic plus body. I've turned plus size during the pandemic. Oh, my friends are like, the pandemic's over, JD. What's your excuse now? My residual pandemic weight.
JD's got COVID
It's
30.
stress, though. Stress.
I had COVID so many times. I was stress eating through the whole process. Okay, but seriously, that was my button that popped off. That is so sad. It ricocheted
We
around the
needed
room.
this
That was
today.
like quite a force.
You know, we might come off that we just have these perfect lives, but I think this is amazing because we are far from it, you guys.
That's why we're
And
snaps,
this is why
JD.
we have a
Snaps
show.
don't pop.
We need each other to laugh.
You heard it, right?
We all have had these kind of horrific starts to our day today.
Yes.
Actually,
Let's talk about
We
how
learned-
our days.
Let's talk about the 20 things we all said we were not going to talk about in today's show, including my giant
We're
gut
here for
and
humor
ass.
today. Humor and pain
First thing
is
out of
a
our mouth.
big deal, and we talked about
right.
coping, right?
Right,
Coping
right.
through comedy, I think, is a big
Thank
part
God
of
Michelle is in
friendship.
charge.
But
Laugh my way through this
so-
podcast.
Good. So let's talk about
do you wanna
friendship.
start?
Yes,
Let's talk
okay,
about
all right. So we have
How you started the
we
morning,
came to
JD.
today's show each with a burning question about friendship that we didn't
Oh, you're not
tell
going to
each
start
other.
about how the day started.
I am going to move on. I am having a hard time with my weight and the stretchiness of my clothes. And I'm also extremely frugal when it comes to fashion. And because I've got to enjoy so many of my clothes for
Which Goodwill
decades,
did you get that shirt at?
And literally,
Just
it is like which sweat. Oh my God. First of all, this is George's shirt, and so you're going to be in trouble when he sees
George
this.
will.
And yes, it may very well be. And yes, I have sweat marks. Okay, let's just move on. Let's just talk about friendship before I totally fall apart here. Okay. So, ladies, Mindy and Michelle, my besties. I love you both so much. There is no more joy in life than Mindy seeing JD frustrated, without words, and bulging at the seams.
This is my happy place.
This is why you need
This is
to.
not
I
good.
should
This is why we have
draw
a
you an
video
adult
first
diaper.
podcast. Can we talk about this?
Okay.
So people
Okay.
can see what we're talking about. Check us out on YouTube, folks, Facebook.
I love that someone else is running the ship because I feel like I'm just
So
drowning
to
in
today's
tears.
so my question about friendship for the two of you is one that goes to some of our other shows where we've talked a lot about how, you know, in midlife especially, some of us are lucky enough to have friendships that have been decades long, and how those friendships can really be used as tools of healing and help and hacks and just getting through midlife in the best possible way, right? Those friendships are a source that I know each of us taps into regularly. Yep. So my question is about, for those maybe that aren't lucky enough to have like, you know, a Michelle and a Mindy that they've known for 20 plus years, how do you make friendships, meaningful friendships as an adult?
That is a really good question.
Thank you, Mindy. I appreciate that.
It's a hard one too, though, because I think it is really hard. Because look, we've had 20-some plus years together, and that friendship was formed over time, over trusted moments, over vulnerabilities, over crisis together. I mean, how many crises have we been through? I think crisis creates commonality.
So to make a good friend, go meet
Just go
someone,
get in a
create a
crisis.
crisis in their life, and then help them solve it.
No, they say shared trauma is something that bonds people,
Yeah.
you know, even if you're in an accident or you're in a circumstance with people that you didn't even know, but then you have a shared trauma, like it's something that bonds you.
It almost seems like a vulnerability. Like if you let someone in.
I you know what, I will say this. I know my husband Glenn is really good at making new friendships and forming new friendships because he's always kind of led with this like affable vulnerability about himself, and people just sometimes they don't trust it because they're like, this couldn't have happened to you. Why are you sharing this with me? But when you find out when you are real and you're authentic and you share something real about yourself, you gift that person with something. And I think it's almost like you hand them a hand to say, take this hand in friendship. When you are vulnerable and you're open and you're authentic.
It's like a warm welcome to the friendship. It's like saying, it's okay. Come on in. You don't have to be scared.
And it can be the first, and it's hard sometimes to take the first step. Like I just met this gal this weekend, and we had this really, our husbands are becoming really good friends, and I just met her, and I instantly liked her. Like she's got this great spirit, this great energy.
Wait, what? Who is this one?
It's not a foursome yet.
Jealousy.
Okay. So you immediately felt her energy.
So I just immediately felt this is the kind of person I could see being friends with.
Right.
I just really, but we're just new, but we had commonality. We were very sure. And what she said about me, which I felt about her, she's like, I love that there's no pretense. Like we didn't present any pretense. We were just really honest and real and kind of self-deprecating. And that just created a situation that allowed us to kind of.
It's disarming.
It is disarming. Yeah. And we laugh. And it happens much more quickly when you can be that. I mean, we're older too. Like think about it. We don't have as much time.
You care less too about what's.
We don't have
true,
as much time. If you think, Glenn had lunch with a gentleman who's 100 years old the other day. A dear friend of ours. He's 100 years old. And he says, I cannot believe how how fast it's going now. He's like, I don't want to miss anything. And if you think about your life, when you're 1, or say when you're 5, my daughter's 5, getting to 10 is like half of your life, right? To go from 5 to 10, it seems like forever. Oh my God, I just want to be 10. I just want to grow up. From 10 to 20, I want to be 20 because that's like half of your life. When you're, 50
slow down
to 100, that's not that much. I mean, or if you're 100, like 1 year of your life is 1/100th of your life. 1 year.
Talking about math. What is happening?
I'm just talking about how how you need to look at how right now
your daughter can say, I've been friends with someone my whole life, and it literally be true.
Right.
Because her whole life's only been 12 years now.
Right.
Right.
I mean, just like it just makes you stop and appreciate the moments of each moment. And then when we have friends you meet later in life, you don't have as much time to cultivate a friendship. Right. You don't have all this time laying out in front of you to think about, well, let's just take it slow.
More cautious with your time and who you choose to be with. They say when you're a parent of little kids, the days go by slow, but the years go by fast. Right. And I think that's what we feel now as adults. Like the years just are. Yeah. But sometimes you can get caught in the mashugana or the daily grind.
I like that word.
But the years go by fast, but the days go by slow when you're in the trenches. But for me, particularly, I've gotten way more. Want to say exclusive because that sounds really snobby.
No, I know what you mean though.
But I'm like, you know what? Selective. I don't have time with my kids between work and this. I want to be with the people I already love. I want to be with the people who I've already cultivated decades with. Like new friends to me, I'm very picky, and I guess maybe
So then the answer to my question, how do you make new friends as an adult?
I
is
don't.
If you haven't made them by now, you're SOL. Sorry,
well,
kids.
I think we also become, I don't know if it's new people, but with each decade and experience, you shed things that don't work for you, and you also maybe take on some baggage. And I will say, I have trust issues. I mean, let's just put it out there. And so meeting new people as a 49-year-old, I have a whole different set of reference. Like, I don't care if you can make me laugh or I get along at dinner with you. That's like fleeting, you know? So I don't know. We had this discussion last night, actually, with some hockey moms. We went and had dinner after practice, and the girl said, "Oh gosh, I feel so lucky. Like I got into Michelle's circle." Yeah, she kind of made a comment, and I was like, "Oh wait, am I?" And then I owned
your
I
coveted
got
space.
Defensive at first. I was like, "What does that mean?" And then I was like, "You know what? You're right. You should feel lucky because I am very selective and I don't
about
have
who
the
you
time."
And in demand because you're such a good friend. That's the thing.
Well,
the
but
reason
it's
there's
just where I'm at in my life.
Yeah, but also not everybody is the same in friendship. Some some people it's like, oh well, as long as you're single, you're a great friend. But the second you start dating someone or you're in a relationship, we don't hear from you anymore. Yeah. You've never been like that.
No.
You've been the most consistent person and glue in our friendship and in friendships in general.
Yeah.
And when you find someone like that, you hold on.
But
tight.
I think given the choice, if you think about it, do you want to hang out with a new friend and go through all that? Or would you rather,
work.
If your time is limited, wouldn't you rather spend time with the people you already love? So for me, I'm just
so Michelle's answer is, sorry kids, if you don't already have decades-long friends.
Well, you know what?
I do have different groups, but it's
I brought this up earlier in another podcast that, I talked to my daughter who has Snapchat.
Right.
She has 500 friends or 500 acquaintances. She knows 500 people or some number like that. She does not have one solid, trusted friend. And that made me really sad.
Followers are not friends.
No, they're not. And kids nowadays are so quick to lie or to not tell the truth or not to be vulnerable. And she comes in and she's just got this pure heart and wants to just get there. And then people just are crappy. People can be really crappy, especially in this world of the next, what's the next? What's the next best thing? What's better? I mean, they're always holding out plans. What are you doing tonight? Oh, nothing, until something better comes along. And, I just wonder if our younger people are missing that real, or does it develop? Will they get it? I don't remember how I was at that age. I had some solids. At 15, I saw a saying the other day that said, the only time the grass is always greener is when it's fake grass. So these kids in these days, like beware of the grass that's always greener and always looking for, like you said, the better offer. I hate that with people who are like, oh yeah, we make plans, but then they got a better offer, and you see how do you know what's happening too? My friend even said, my youngest said, you see this friend says to you, oh yeah, I can't hang out tonight. My mom says I got to do chores. Then you see them on Snap Maps and they are at a friend's house with a bunch of other friends that you weren't invited to. So you're excluded. You're not invited. You were lied to. So how do you even trust?
Okay, but see, here's another thing. And this was, I just saw this. I read, not read or saw. I was listening to a podcast the other day. She's a famous psychologist.
The podcasts are amazing. You can catch us on Apple Tunes and everywhere else you see podcasts. Make sure you check us out, Friendsome and then some.
She goes, oh, my son lies. She was having this kind of session.
How old was he?
At 10. And the psychologist scolded her and said, "Oh, pump the brakes. Like, cut the judgment out.
Oh.
Let's be real. We all lie on a daily. We lie so many times a day."
I was apparently lying to myself about whether this shirt fit.
Yeah. See, so we tell ourselves lies. We lie for different motives, to either not be in trouble or to not get in trouble or to protect. A lot of people don't realize their kids are lying because they're trying to protect their parents' feelings or protect themselves. It's not always like this ill motivation or bad character flaw. It is actually a tactic of communication. So you kind of have to not call your child a liar, or just go, you know what? Okay, let's break it down, Taylor. This girl may have been invited to the friends, but she knew you weren't. So she was protecting your feelings because she's not in control of who's invited to this other friend's house. That's their friend's responsibility. But she doesn't want to hurt your feelings by being the one who says what she's doing. So
Okay, you're giving me some parenting stuff here. This is good.
She said she had chores instead of telling you the truth because
she didn't want you to feel left out, right?
And would have, and she has no control over that. So she lied to protect her feelings.
You know what I heard recently? That was
it wasn't just nasty girl stuff, mean girl
Okay,
stuff.
I like this. I like this skewed paradigm.
The best advice when it comes to understanding someone's decisions, especially like a young person, especially if it's your child, is rather than go to judgment, go to curiosity. Mm-hmm. What if anytime something happened, even if it was just so like, why did you set your sister's hair on fire? Like there's a quick judgment, like that was the wrong thing to do.
Right.
But
why?
Why? Why did you, what was the reason? Because if you can dig into the reasons why people are making the choices they are, you're much more likely to understand the behavior rather than to just judge it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So for the first question then, which was how do you make friends as an adult? One of my
learned.
My favorite thing the answer I got out of that was
what was your answer?
Listen to the Friendsome and Then Some podcast week after week, and you soon will find that you have a dear friend in each of us.
How about this?
Exactly.
If you are listening, I would love to hear your comments in the comments below. Tell us how you've met friends and what experience you had that created a friendship later in midlife that now is someone who's very near and dear to you.
And we might mention you on a future show.
Yeah, and we might even bring
and
you
also
on.
don't forget to mention in the comments which
on.
of the Friendsomes you like the best.
Yeah, you would prefer.
If it's JD,
and also which Friendsome you do like the best. Who looks the best? Who's the most S-shaped?
Who did wear clothes that fit?
Uh-oh, I'm about to pop.
Second question.
All right, second question. I'll give the second question. So, do you have a toxic friend, or I love the word frenemy? Do you have a frenemy? Are you a frenemy?
Ooh, you could
have you been a frenemy? Have you been the toxic friend? I think it can be, ouch. It could be both, because if you are in just a relationship or start a friendship with someone, and then you realize, oh, this isn't for me, you could actually be the toxic friend by accident, just because you're trying to get out of the friendship.
Toxic?
Yeah.
Any of us? No.
You're toxic. I had a Britney moment there for a minute.
Oh, that was nice.
But do you have you ever had a frenemy, or have you ever had to have a friendship divorce where you had to remove yourself from a toxic friendship?
Yes, I have. And if you're listening right now, for the part that I brought to that situation, I'm very sorry. Aww. Because I do think that anytime we have kind of a toxic friendship, to some degree, we are partly to blame because we've allowed that toxic friendship to become a thing in our life. And I have done that with a few people where I have mistaken their interest in me as pure versus maybe what they could get out of their friendship with me. Mm-hmm. That's a place where I think maybe all three of us have seen at times your frenemy is somebody that is not actually there. God, I feel like I'm on The Bachelor. They're not there for the right reasons, folks. They're not there for your friendship without any of the bells and whistles.
So, JD, let's watch this clip of Halloween frenemies.
And here we go. Take the clip. We're not really going to do that. Nope. But
he's talking about friends with benefits, which was Mindy's topic.
No. Those are called I'm genuinely.
Frenefit.
No, you're right. There are people who have bad intentions.
I have a couple of people in my life who I have said goodbye to the friendship thinking that it was toxic at the time, that I have since in the years that have passed seen my part in it at that time. And now I do feel like kind of bad. Steve, Robert, if you guys are out there and you want to be friends again, Mindy, Michelle,
JD's putting the gauntlet down.
I would absolutely love to rekindle. I don't care if you're in Chicago or California or where you are. I accept the part that I did in our friendship, and I'm sorry that I said goodbye so many years ago. I really am.
Aww.
But then some of you that I said goodbye to, goodbye.
Bye.
Because
Bye-bye. They're
you
not
just
listening.
were not in
They're
it
not
for
listening.
the Jadester. You were definitely in it for yourself.
So I think some people, they're so, cowardly is not the word, but scared to be honest about where they are or don't have the inner confidence to create boundaries. So what they do is they blow up the friendship. They're like, oh, I'd rather make an impossible break and violation because I'm not brave enough to say my real feelings and create boundaries. Right. And some people aren't rule makers. We got to get away from that whole, oh, here are the rules of engagement. No. Let's be healthy and create healthy boundaries. And if you start that in the beginning, then you don't have that toxicity in the end. Or like I said, you may be the toxic person because you can't handle, or maybe you think, oh, this person isn't going to receive this break or boundary well, so I'm just going to explode it.
Right.
And a lot of people do. It's almost like that a part of a midlife crisis isn't just blowing up your marriage, but it's a part of blowing up your whole thing because you're going, wait a minute, who am I? Did I follow this path all along that was written out for me by what my parents expected of me? Or did I really do the major? What's my calling? And so people start really questioning themselves, and then they blow up their whole lives, and then they become the toxic person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know
hard.
you guys know,
You know what I
I've
mean?
been through that kind of thing. And, I had a group of friends. There were 6 of us. We'd travel. We'd go places around the world. It was our girl group. And then, over time, there were different pockets of each of us that kind of went separate ways. Or it's like the season changed.
Yeah.
The season changed for the friendship. And there's an old saying, like a marriage counselor I have seen quoted that said, sometimes you have to end the relationship to save the marriage. And I think sometimes that's with friendships. Because you're just to kind of diverse for a second, when you're in a marriage, you meet someone, you're both single, you're both young, you're both this, then you get pregnant. Okay, now we're a couple that's a married couple with pregnancy, and that's a new relationship. And then you have a baby. Now you're in a new relationship. But if you keep thinking the relationship's going to be what it was when you first started, you're going to have major problems. So you have to you have to end that relationship. Okay, we're no longer a newlywed. Okay, we're no longer parents waiting for a baby. Okay, now we're no longer parents with a newborn. Right. Every time your life changes, you have to end that relationship to save the marriage. Otherwise, it will be destroyed. And that's kind of with friendships too. I think you started a certain way and then you always expect it to be what it was, but life changes. Right. And then you have to end that expectation of what it was to make a new relationship.
It's an acceptance of what it is.
It's radical acceptance, which I love that word we were talking about earlier.
Realistic
expectations. Right. And then, like I said, there's been the friend group was fractured and we all kind of went our separate. We've all maintained in touch, so to speak, but it's been very at a distance. Sure. We don't gather again anymore. We've all gone our separate ways. And there's all of us who kind of long, I think we all on some level long for what we had because it was so much fun. Mm-hmm. But that was when none of us were married, none of us had kids, none of us. So now we all have to let go of what we had in order to create a new relationship.
And accept what you have.
And accept what we have now.
Never
and that's
try
been
to
hard.
Compare. Oh, we hung out so much. Well, we hung out so much because I didn't have all this
a different life.
Other stuff going on in my life.
So I think the hardest part then, like you said, is to let go of expectation because, and I've always heard this, when you have expectations of anything, you're setting yourself up for resentment. And if you just let go of expectations, you lose resentment because it can't grow. You don't plant a seed if you don't have an expectation. Just radical acceptance of what is, and then you can create something new from that and something. So I just, it's hard. Like the toxic friend, I wouldn't say it was toxic as much as it wasn't appropriate at the time, or we'd outgrown it.
Right.
We had grown beyond.
What's our favorite quote that our friend Holly Parker also has? I think in
her book. Oh, Back on the Market. Great book, by the way, available on Amazon.
For 3 reasons: a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Sorry, a reason,
a season, or a lifetime. Yeah.
A reason might be someone taking your toll at a booth or just taking your order at a restaurant. A season is kind of what we're talking about. It might have been a long season, might have been all through college, and we just thought we would be inseparable.
Yeah.
And then they banged your husband. So what are you gonna do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Ooh, that's like a hard
wait,
left.
huh?
That's toxic. No, but
remember we had Vivica Fox on the show, and she
Right.
said, I went through a season of sheddings.
yes.
Yeah.
Where I thought, wow, that is a
Right.
great quote, because a season of sheddings meant that she got to a place in her life where she was like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I
It is
don't
a
have
moment,
to.
too,
I
when you
think
wake
that's
up.
part of aging.
Like-
And she was like, I'm going to shed some toxic people or things.
Shedding
You
is
can
good.
Be okay with
Snakes
saying,
do it. Like,
this
think of
doesn't
that.
work for me anymore. I think it's okay to do that. And
Haven't you noticed that a major trauma sometimes precipitates that moment?
Yeah.
Like something big happens in our lives that makes us wake up. That was the sound of my hand against my
That
forehead.
wasn't a button
That
popping
wasn't
off
a-
again.
It's not a button popping this time. That was me smacking my forehead. You really have to
Thinking of shedding.
like explore. Like we're talking about acceptance
Couple
and
LBs.
friendship, which is huge. But there's also an awareness. Like you can accept your friends for whatever and whoever they are, but you have to be aware enough to realize whether they're a healthy part of your life or not.
Yeah.
And not just simply accept when they are not. You have to know the difference between accepting the things you can't change and kind of changing the ones that you can. I think I'm on the way to an AA
We going
prayer
to
right
AA
here.
right now?
But it's so
Serenity
good.
prayer.
It's
Accept the
so
things
good
that
and
cannot
it's so
change.
true.
So true.
And maybe we just shed the word toxic out of that. It's almost like
I don't know,
putting,
yeah.
well, but it puts the blame on the other person.
Sometimes
It kind
very
of
much.
really detaches you from any responsibility by saying, "Oh, I had a toxic friend I had to get rid of." Well, maybe it was just the end of the season, and
The
maybe,
leaves have changed.
And maybe you
they're not
changed and
toxic,
you-
but the
yeah.
friendship for your life
was
not
toxic.
healthy.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's the
Right.
the
Yeah.
the thing
Move it
that
away
you
from the
guys
person to the
created was
situation.
toxic, but not actually the individuals. All right, Mindy,
What's our
what's
third
your
question?
last?
What's that? How do you deal with a competitive friend? You have anyone that's really
Ooh,
competitive with you?
The one upper is.
Uh,
You got some competitive friends?
Each of us have been
Competitive
really competitive.
with each other?
You and I used to be really
We
competitive.
did?
In our single days.
Really?
We would arm wrestle. We would.
videos of that.
Oh my gosh.
You're like literal competitions.
Oh, we loved, like, remember when we were in Cancun and we were like, let's just play basketball and maybe this will be a great way to meet guys. You know, they'll come flooding to the
To the court.
that they would flood to the court. Oh, two chicks playing basketball. It turned into like a 2-hour brawl where we kept having to play more games
Yes.
2 out of 3. Oh, you 1 out of 4. Like I mean, we're sweating buckets. No guy would be attracted to what was going on in that court. It was disgusting. It was so competitive.
Oh my God, I love it. That is like, Mindy, you know, we've had like pool fights where we're throwing wet
And then it
toys at
gets-
each other. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is no longer a joke. Like we are full on target practice. And I'm just like winding up like some major baseball player whose name I would say if I watch sports. Hank Aaron. That's one. That sounds right. Willie Mays. There you go. I'm like, Willie Mays. I'm like throwing stuff. And I felt bad afterwards. Like, do you remember what I'm talking about? I think this was in her pool, in Michelle's pool. We got into a pool fight
got
once.
ugly.
And I was like,
It
what are you
got
doing?
ugly.
And we were like, we're just chucking wet toys at each other.
You're
It
lucky I
can
have
get
a short
ugly
They're
with
term
fun.
us.
memory.
I was
Those are
actually
fun
afraid to be a parent because of my competitive spirit. I'm having a real honest moment, but
Really?
I
Competitive
used to be-
spirit in parenting
with my
or-
cousins, with my dad, with anybody. Like I wasn't the one upper of like the kind of person who was like, oh my God, I broke my arm. And then I was like, oh, I broke my leg 3 times. Like I wasn't that kind of competitive, but if you put a game in front of me or a goal, I had to be the winner. So I was like, okay, when I'm a parent, I have to really let that go because I don't want to torture my kids.
I don't
And
I've
see that.
That's
Not,
I know.
weird.
I'm
Is
not that parent at all.
I don't see
anymore.
that. That's I've never seen that. Like I don't.
Certainly
That
not in
just
your
isn't a
parenting.
memory that sticks with me as us being competitive. I haven't.
Really?
No, that's so weird
But
because
she's
I don't
meaning
have
quite literally competitive.
competitive like on the court.
Like
Yeah,
But
I
there's
don't.
I
some
don't mean
friends
in
who are
life.
I do remember the
competitive
arm
with you.
wrestling. I
Yeah,
don't remember the basketball. I
Do you
not.
remember who won the arm wrestling?
No.
It's me.
Oh, that's why I blocked it
We have
out.
video of that.
Let's do it now, bitch. Come
But it went
Ooh,
for a
do
long.
it.
No,
Take it
no,
on.
this is.
Hey,
I
for
have a
us-
plate and 6 screws in this.
Check
one.
on. I got a broken elbow here, so we're not going to.
Hey,
be able
check
to
out
do
our
that.
social media. That's at Modern Podcasting,
Yes.
at Friendsome and Then Some, and we will
At-
put out a video of Mindy and Michelle arm wrestling.
We have
Oh,
a
maybe.
picture.
But
We
we're
have a
taking votes.
photograph
It was
back.
at
We're on
her
the floor at the
bachelorette.
House of Blues. We got down on the floor, House of Blues. Yep, it was on my engagement party.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah,
These
we
are good
were-
memories.
We'd love to.
So that's some help, friends. Did you guys get something from that? I would love to hear from you.
And
Put
if
it
you
in our
have more
comments.
questions, we'll do another show like this where we have more friendship questions that we can unfold for you and maybe shed some light on this complicated relationship. But the most rewarding one you'll have in your life is friendship, right,
That's
guys?
right. That's right. Best friends.
I love
Well,
it.
you can follow us on Friendsome and Then Some.
Me. A lot of love there. Girl, we
our
popped
YouTube
a lot of buttons
channel,
together.
Instagram, and obviously wherever you get your podcast. This is
Friendsome and Then Some.
Did you like what you heard today on our podcast? Or did you like what you saw on our vidcast? Were you watching?
How about sending us a comment or suggestion on any topic you want us to talk about?
We'll have new episodes every Tuesday. Please join in the conversation on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. You can download our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. See you next time on
Friendsome and Then Some.